What's going on, everybody? I'm Steven, and this is Build Brothers. You may have seen in my last video, one of my last videos, that we were working on fault code 0349 and 0345, which is a cam position sensor failure, or a wiring failure. Well, it turns out that I missed the Tech Bulletin, and in fact, after I replaced the wiring and the sensor, I found out that there's another issue that causes this failure. And it's actually not a failure in the sensor or the wiring. It's the alternator. Now, unfortunately, with this car, the alternator is actually underneath the throttle body, so we're going to have to take some stuff off. But I figured I would tell you guys that this is also an issue, and if you need to replace your alternator, this will be a how-to. If you have this fault code and you can't figure out what's wrong with it, it's very likely the alternator, and you can watch this and this will show you how to do it. So I'm going to start taking this stuff off. I'm going to take off this intake hose, and then I'm going to take the throttle body off. I will show you where the bolts are each time I move to one. For the intake hose, which is what I'll take off first, we have a screw here for this clamp, screw here. You have to pop this red clip out for this sensor, and then there's a little clip underneath for this sensor. You don't need a tool for this, you just push it and wiggle it, and it will come off. So I'll knock those other out right now. One more thing I'm going to do in this video is once I take off this throttle body, I'm actually going to go ahead and clean it. I noticed that it's gunked up, so while I have it apart, I might as well go ahead and clean that. But the most important thing is getting this alternator off, because I need to go pick up the new one before the store closes. So next, I'm going to take the throttle body off. I believe it uses 10 and 13 millimeter sockets or wrenches for your reference. Was slightly mistaken. The bolts for the nuts for the throttle body are actually 8 millimeter. I think it's 10 and 13 for the alternator. So just for your reference. Alright, now we're going to clean the throttle body. There's a bunch of carbon buildup on here and a lot of junk, so I have some brake part cleaner, I have a nylon brush, as well as some paper towels that I'm going to use to go ahead and clean this. So let's go ahead and do it. Alright, this next step is a pain. You need, let's see if I can pop this out so I can show you. You have to use, I want to say it's half inch drive without an actual socket on it. And you stick it in the tensioner. There's a little square spot, at least on this car there is. Sometimes it's actually a bolt, but in this case it's one of these. And I tried doing it with just this, didn't work, so what I did was I hooked a wrench on the end, and you can use this for leverage to, give you a little bit extra force. But you do that, you hook it on the tensioner, and when you push away from the belt, what will end up happening is it will release the pressure off the serpentine belt, which you have to do before you unbolt the alternator, because if you don't, what will end up happening when you unbolt it is it's going to rip it out, and you could damage stuff, so we don't want to do that. Plus, you'll probably wreck your hand in the process. So, best case, take off the belt, leave it loose, then when you put the new one in, just do the opposite process, where you actually loosen it again and pop the belt back on. So, I highly recommend a breaker bar. I used a 19 millimeter for leverage. It's a pretty big wrench, and it was just barely enough. I mean, there wasn't a lot of room here, so I'm smacking my hand against this. So just a breaker bar would make it so much easier, or a second person. One person can pull it while the other person grabs the belt. But yeah, just learn from my my pains. Alright, next I'm going to clean up the entryway into the intake manifold. I already cleaned the airbox, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to bolt up the new alternator. Alright, here's the new alternator. I'm going to go ahead and throw the bracket on it. It did not come with the new bracket, so I'm going to put the old bracket on it. I cleaned the old bracket because it was really messy. And we're going to throw this on. Turns out it's an identical alternator to what came on, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and connect the connectors in the back and get this thing on here. Alright, I put this bracket on, so now we're going to go ahead and throw the alternator back in. First thing we need to do is find the electrical connection, which is right here. Take this nut off here quick. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner. Very little to no carbon buildup. Much better. I'm going to throw that on. Alright, I'm going to connect the intake and the intake hose, and then we're done. Alright, the final step is to connect the battery terminal. Alright, now we're going to go start the car and see if the light comes back on. Alright, I don't know if you can see me. Turn on the inside lights, not that that's going to do that much, but just started the car. I opened the torque app. No check engine light yet, but the torque app will actually pull the codes from the computer, so it's going to check the sensors. Should tell us. So we're getting a good reading on the battery, as you can see in here, probably in the center there. Looks like it's getting a good charge. That's good. Obviously it should. So now we're going to go ahead and scan and see what we get. Now those are old codes. It will show a little sign here that will say if they're actually active codes. Some of these won't clear until we drive the car. So now this is saying 4 fault codes showing. It says at the bottom that the 4 codes may be clearable if we drive the car. We're going to clear them ourselves. I don't know if it's actually going to clear, but we're going to try it anyway. And then we're going to pull the codes again and find out if, because that wasn't, yeah, it's still pulling up them. You'll see at the end of this scan, it's going to say at the bottom that we need to drive the car to get them to clear. But before, it was showing an actual code, like a little icon here that said it's an active code, and it's not showing that currently. So with any luck, it appears that we'll be all set. I'll show you the thing that it tells you at the bottom when it pops up. Should be any second. It says 4 fault codes shown, and then it says it might be clearable by the ECU after a clear, yeah, couldn't read it that fast, but it pretty much says that you have to drive the car. I don't know what these other ones are. The 4th one says that the testing is incomplete because we haven't driven. The first 2 are, or the second 2 are the cam one that we replaced the sensor, but we also did the alternator. And the top one, I believe, is due to the accident, which I think will clear after we drive. Not 100% sure what that means. I did have the airbag sensor module sent in for reset, and that did get reset, so I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I do believe these are cleared now. What I'll do is let the car run for a while, and if it does show up, I will let you guys know. But if not, this will be our outro, and I will tell you, until next time, check out our videos for the 5-minute tech tips, especially if you have this car. We're going to do some computer ones. This is a 2008 Mustang GT, so 05 to 09. My brother's doing the early 70s Datsun 240Z, 2JZ swap, so twin turbo V6 from a Supra. If you have questions about that, definitely comment on those videos. He's a tech guy. He'll be able to help you out with that. I'm learning a bunch about this motor, so I'm working through the problems with this, and this build goes on. Hopefully this fixed it, so we can get this car out to the shop to get it inspected this week, because there's a car show this coming weekend. Not, it's a Saturday today. The following weekend will be the first car show that I can make it to, assuming I can get it inspected this week. So that's a game plan. Expect a couple videos this week, and let's see if we can do it. So make sure you like and subscribe, share with your friends, and until next time, see you later. Peace.